Good morning. I'm going to read a couple pages from Suffragette to Death, and it starts with the main character, Liv, who has helped. Nancy is the name of the other character who is playing a part of Edith Wilson at a play, and the playhouse is down the block from the White House Dollhouse store. And so I'm starting towards the end of the first chapter. It's back by the computer. I withdrew my phone and listened to my voicemail. Honey can't make it to the opening tonight. She's talking to her husband. We'll have all day tomorrow. Kisses. I clicked from the message and said shoot aloud. I didn't want to have to go alone to the theater, but this type of situation happens when you're a policeman's wife. I took a deep breath to try and shrug off the disappointment before redialing. Liv, sorry, Aaron immediately responded. It can't be helped. Well, where will you be on the patrol? Right nearby. I'm going to try and sleep a little bit longer, Aaron said. Good, you need your sleep, I said. I'm picking up some flowers for Nancy on her opening night. Or do you think I should wait until after the show and give her a long stem rose? Whatever you think is the thing to do. We disconnected and I called my grandma for her opinion about flowers. Her suggestion was a single long stem rose at the end of the performance. I made a quick phone call and ordered one from the nearby florist, Yellow Daisy Floral. After I logged into my store's website and noticed that there had been a number of views over the previous days, I hoped the picture of the antique Edith Wilson dollhouse would draw them into the store. I answered a few questions concerning First Ladies before logging off the site. The morning fled by with a couple customers coming inside for a look-and-see stroll between the aisles. I was all caught up for the moment on sewing the inaugural ball gowns, so I removed my quilt pieces from the bag I stored nearby. During the downtime, I worked on quilt squares. This particular quilt was called the Texas Star, which once was known as the Dolly Madison Star. I'd finished piecing a block together in the workroom when Max entered, carrying an Edith Wilson doll head. He also had to tell me that tonight he planned to carve another Barbara Bush doll. Since a customer inquired about her yesterday, he made sure that we always had one doll to spare of each First Lady. Have you heard from Nancy? I asked before he walked out. She's upstairs on the couch. Max removed a cigarette from his pocket. Catch you later. I knew he wouldn't return any more today. Carving dolls and looking after the store was his main job, but for extra cash he picked up odd jobs. I never knew what or where he worked because of store hours. Basically, I trusted him to take over when I had to be gone and Nancy wasn't there. I respected his privacy. I glanced at the clock and realized that it was time for lunch. Down the block was a hamburger joint and I purchased one to go plus a glass of iced tea. The rest of the afternoon was spent sewing Edith Wilson's inaugural gown. The black chamois satin trim on black velvet gave me a headache. I set the tiny gown aside to finish on another day. I picked up Barbara Bush's royal blue gown and stitched the velvet bodice and skirt. I finished the gown and readied it for the doll, which I still needed to paint. It was time for me to lock up and head home. After placing all the fabric scraps inside a container and cleaning the work area, I went to the front door and locked the door, switching the sign from open to closed. I grabbed my bag and locked the back door behind me as I walked out. Once home, I ate a quick dinner and got myself ready for the theater. I checked to make sure the tickets were there, where they should be in my bag, that I had my phone and keys before leaving the house. I started the car back from the garage and pressed the remote control to shut the door. It didn't take long before I was purchasing the rose and driving the car toward the theater. I parked in my usual parking spot behind the store and walked around toward the front of the building. I pulled out my phone and sent a message to Nancy. Nancy is that actress. Good luck. It didn't take long before I received a response that said thanks. Once out of the main lobby, I took a few minutes to read the wall-hung playbills and peruse pictures and short bios about each of the actors. I grinned while reading Nancy's because there was a mention of the store. When the auditorium opened, I showed my ticket, grabbed a playbill, and went to sit. The soft music conjured up the Wilson era. Sitting right up front, I watched as the property's manager gave a final peek at the stage. The stage manager, Linda, walked out the side entrance, speaking into her headphone. I placed the long stem rose across my lap. I missed Aaron beside me. Suddenly my phone chirped and I glanced at it. Aaron had sent a message to say that he was entering the theater and not to leave my seat, no matter what. His message didn't make sense. My first thought was that he had changed shifts with someone. A moment later, the music suddenly stopped, and a hush fell across the audience as he waited for the actors to take their place. I watched as the spotlight hit center stage, illuminating Linda. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. Something has happened. The performance is delayed. We will keep you posted. She walked off the stage. Removing my phone, I texted Aaron, "What is it?" When he didn't respond within 30 seconds, my natural curiosity took over and I became restless. Finally, a response, it read, "Keep cool." What the heck does that mean? Within a few minutes, people began walking for the exit doors. Suddenly, Aaron walked on stage wearing Linda's headset. "May I have your attention, please?" He waited a moment, then repeated himself. After another few moments, the crowd quieted. "I have some bad news. The doors are locked and we'll have to take everyone's name and phone number before you'll be allowed to leave. There's been an accident and today's performance is canceled." Aaron glanced down at me and quickly looked away. Linda took back the headgear and said, "The theater will offer a full refund, or you can use your tickets next week when we'll reopen this production." I looked up at Aaron, who shook his head. The person behind me shouted, "What happened?" No one is to leave without giving their full name to a police officer. There are several officers stationed by the main lobby doors. The back doors are off limits. I got up and briskly walked for the dressing rooms to check on Nancy. And that's from Suffragette to Death, Barbara Schlichting.